Now we want to find out the big ideas we'll be teaching within the lesson. And also, what is an essential question that children should know at the end of the lesson? The easiest way to do that is to start with the standard that you just searched. So I'm going to stick with the comparing numbers standard because this again is the lesson you're going to be planning in your lesson plan project. So we went in and we searched comparing numbers for pre-K in math, and we came up with the standard area 2, Common Core 2.1, which is numbers and operations. And then we have the grade level standard that breaks down the anchor right here. And we see comparing numbers. But what does that really mean? Specifically, how many numbers? Comparing numbers to 100, comparing numbers to 5. We don't know because this standard is not specific enough. We're going to find out those specific things in just a moment. So keep in your mind, again, numbers and operations and comparing numbers because we're going to look for that. Now there's two ways to go about this. If you're right here in this menu, you can go up to the tab that says Curriculum Framework right here, and you can choose that. If you're not in this tab or this search menu, you can always go back out to the flower and you can choose Curriculum Framework. So we were in Standards, now we're going to Curriculum Framework. Again, it was the tab right there at the top. You don't always have to go out to that flower. But once you select Curriculum Framework, you select it again, and we're going to go back to choosing our grade level and our subject area. So our grade level was pre-K, and we save and close. And our subject area was math, and we save and close. And now we can go down and we can see the big ideas that in math, students in pre-K will be responsible for knowing. So we have mathematical relationships among numbers can be represented, compared, and communicated. We have another one about relationships. We have one about patterns. We have one about geometric relationships. You can see there's quite a few. But one thing that you notice is you're going to look at right here. Do you see how for each of these we have pre-kindergarten, we have math, and then we have an area of math. And these are related to those standards areas. If you remember, I said, remember numbers and operations because that was the category that we were in before. So I know that one of these big ideas will relate to my standard. And it's kind of trial and error, but I can see the word compared is right here. So I'm thinking it's probably this one. So what you do is you open it up and it pops down and we get some essential questions. We have how is mathematics used to quantify, compare, represent, and model numbers? How can mathematics support effective communication? How can patterns? Well, I'm thinking this has that word compare in again, so I'm going to select this one. And I'm going to see if I can find the anchor that I was looking for and also the concept. So this is definitely, we weren't with numerical sense. We weren't counting. So I'm going to keep going till I see comparing numbers. See if I see it. So here's number comparison. And if you remember, we were in Common Core 2.1 Pre-K A3. So I know this is the standard I was working with. And I see this standard right here. And I see the standard again right here. And so these are the two things that are specific to number comparison in pre-K. Now, what we have, if we scroll up, I know I didn't show you, but there's categories at the top here. The concept is the big idea that's related to your standard. Here is the actual standard and the anchor. But right here we have two other categories. We have competencies, and these are the specific things that we want the child to be able to do. And we want vocabulary, and if any of those words are related. So I'm going to scroll back down and we're going to look specifically at the competency for the standard that we were in. So the first competency is identify whether the number of objects in one group is greater than, less than, or equal to the number of objects in another group, up to 10 objects. The other number comparison standard is to compare two numbers between 1 and 5 when presented as written numerals. So this would be working with written numerals, and this is working with objects. And for your lesson plan project, you are going to use this right here. Hey, I can highlight that. that is going to be your competency that you write your objective from. So this is important to know how to get there. So when we do our lesson plan, you're going to be looking at this competency. That's how you find the competency when you want to go in and write your own lesson plan.